Hello guys, my name is Rizky from Grief All, and back to the topic of horror movies. Today I'm going to answer one of the questions that have been asked by some of the viewers, which is what is my favorite fetal abduction scenes? Before I start on the list, I need to show a little bit of disclaimer here. So just as a disclaimer before I start the list, I'm just a corporate video producer who is dreaming to produce my own horror movies. All the scenes that are mentioned in any of my horror related content is simply for entertainment purpose only, and none of us horror movie fans would want any of this to happen in real life. And I would also like to remind all of the viewers to watch all these different movies from legit sources, so therefore you can actually support everyone who make the movies, and hopefully they can make many more movies that we love. Just quick updates on the horror TV pilots that I've been working on. Thank you for all the inputs on the poll, and yes, we have decided to follow your suggestions, whereby we are going to produce one of the story, which is going to be a prologue of this entire universe of the Fetal series. So the story will be following a female assassin, and of course she'll be the first carrier of the alien embryo that is being developed by this cult. We have worked on the storyboards of the video. Here is a quick preview of the storyboards. You can actually see how the scene will actually start. I'm not going to post the entire storyboards here because of the fact that I don't want to spoil the entire story to you guys. And my colleague, our lead designer, has also designed a couple of concept arts for the main character and the villain. Of course, this may not be the final versions of the characters just yet, but just to give you a kind of a preview look of what we are trying to do. In regards on timeline, as mentioned on some of my videos, I always try to aim it to do something by Halloween. I'm doing my best to create something by this coming Halloween. I'm hoping that this time we can actually do something better compared to the two videos that we have done. Many of the extreme horror movie fans, including myself, would agree that beside birth scene, C-section scene would probably rank as number 2 as our favorite types of scene in a movie. In real life, C-section is an amazing invention. It actually increased survival rate of childbirth. In the US, more than 30% of babies are being born through C-section. When it comes to movies, of course, it's always be how dramatic the scene will be and how realistic the scene can be. And here are some of my favorite scenes. The first one is actually came from a TV series called Practice. On the season 2, we have one of our main characters who was actually visited by her former patient who was trying to blame her for the loss of her baby. She ended up gave her a forced C-section and abduct the baby and claim it as hers. One of the aspects that I always find a scene looks more realistic is the understanding of the actual medical aspect of things. Our main character actually told the villain that the positions of the cut shouldn't be too high so that it doesn't actually cut the baby, which I think it makes the scene more realistic. Next is from a movie called Hindsight. It's basically about a wealthy couple who are trying to adopt a newborn baby from another girl. There are two interesting scenes in the movie. The first scene is where the main character is being tied up on a table and they open up her shirts to reveal her pregnant belly. There was one time whereby the adopting mother was actually thinking of cutting open her belly and remove the baby. At the end of the movie, we actually see a pretty nice emergency C-section scene done by the villain. Next is actually from a Hong Kong movie called Revenge, a Love Story. There is no C-section scene in this movie, although we do have one nice shot of the aftermath of the scene itself with her belly being torn open. This is one of the things that I actually like to put. It's like how I put the same scene in my short movies, the Harakiri Baby. Thank you for one of the nice viewer. My apology if I pronounce your name wrongly, Ijil Hella, to remind me of this particular movie. I did watch this movie some time back. The premise of this movie is pretty original, whereby we have some sort of organizations and they actually kidnap a group of pregnant women to basically steal the babies and ask these mothers to fight each other. Whoever survive deem that the baby that they have given birth is superior to the others. All the C-sections in this movie is pretty much implied, but one of the interesting scenes that they actually include in this movie was actually the fact that in order for the mothers to find which babies actually belong to them, the villain actually put some sort of a tag back inside their rooms after they remove the fetus out of them. There's one scene whereby one of the character, who happens to be a doctor, tried to perform some sort of a self-surgery to remove that particular tag from inside her belly. Next, and of course this is one of my favorite movies, I've mentioned it a couple of times on my previous video, And of course, I'm talking about Hindsight. Most of us have probably watched that particular scene, seen the villain actually perform a C-section to the main character using a scissors. This is one of the most original looking and the most well done scene out of this type of a horror movie scenes. There are two Hollywood movies which is based on this concept. The first one, of course, the actual remake of Inside was actually launched in 2016, I believe, but they decided to remove that particular scene, which is I'm pretty disappointed. I was actually hoping that Hollywood will actually remake that scene with a Hollywood budget, of course. And the next thing is a movie called Visions, which actually starred one of my favorite actress, Ella Fisher. It was actually pretty well done. We actually seen a scene of her being tied on a bed, whereby the villain was trying to form a C-section on her, but we didn't actually get a C-section scene on this. She managed to break away from it and kill the villain instead. And lastly, of course, I put this at my top in the list because I do find this very original, and I've never seen this in any other movies before. So kudos for the filmmakers to come up with this particular concept. The scene from the Puppet Master, whereby we've seen one of the demonic puppet enters one of the character's womb, remove the baby from inside of her, burst out from her belly, and basically abduct the baby. I think this is just an excellent scene. The special effects is amazing on this, and of course the scene is really original. If you have any other interesting scenes that you want me to watch, you can put in the comment below. If there's any other horror movie topics that you want me to discuss, you can also let me know in this comment below. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.